Narmer, Pharaoh of the United Egypt, a land divided. Upper and Lower Egypt. Thousands of years ago, around 3100 BCE, Egypt was not a single country but two lands, each with its own ruler and crown. In the south, the Nile's current rushed from the highlands, Upper Egypt, under the white crown, and in the north, the river fanned into green delta under the red crown, Lower Egypt. These kingdoms were loosely connected by the life-giving Nile but often competed or coexisted peacefully without a single ruler over all. Enter Narmer, a powerful leader from the south who would change all that, forging a single, united Egypt. Narmer the king, a name and a vision. So who was Narmer? He was an ancient Egyptian king, often called Pharaoh, in the early dynastic period, around 3100 BCE. His name, written with a catfish and a chisel, might be translated as Catfish Chisel or poetically Raging Catfish, which sounds more like a superhero alias than a royal name. Regardless of the meaning, Narmer's symbols appear on many artifacts, including ceremonial mace heads and seals. He wore the white crown of Upper Egypt on one monument and the red crown of Lower Egypt on another, a hint that he saw himself as ruler of both lands. As the strongest king of the south, likely based at a city called Thynis or Hierakonpolis, Narmer aimed higher. He dreamed of uniting all of Egypt under one throne. Uniting the two lands. The story goes that Narmer waged a successful campaign to conquer Lower Egypt. Whether through warfare or diplomacy, he merged the two lands. Iconic imagery shows Narmer wearing the red crown of Lower Egypt on one occasion and the white crown of Upper Egypt on another, symbolizing his rule over both. Historians believe he founded the city of Memphis at the frontier between north and south as the new capital, a meeting point for the two kingdoms. Imagine the scene. After years of rivalry, Narmer finally stands at the head of a massive army on the delta, bringing together crowned officials and deities from both halves of Egypt. It's a pivotal moment, the birth of one nation along the Nile. Unification under Narmer wasn't just political, it was also religious and cultural. The two traditional goddesses, Nekbet the vulture of Upper Egypt and Wajet the cobra of Lower Egypt, were both adopted as protectors of the new king. Narmer even likely assumed a new double crown, known later as the Skent, combining the red and white crowns, becoming the first pharaoh of the unified two lands. From this time on, pharaohs would boast the title Lord of the Two Lands, a concept all traced back to Narmer's bold achievement. The Narmer Palette, Egypt's first propaganda poster. One of the most famous artifacts from this era is the Narmer Palette, essentially an ancient scroll carved in stone. Discovered in a temple at Hierakonpolis in 1898, the palette is roughly the size of a modern poster board and covered in intricate scenes. On one face, Narmer is shown wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt, gripping a foe by the hair and striking him down, with two long-necked feline gods, serpopards, at the top intertwining their necks. On the other side, Narmer wears the red crown of Lower Egypt as a triumphant bull, feet trampling enemies, smashes through a fortress. These images are dramatic and symbolic. Narmer dominates, the lands are united, and order is established. In fact, Egyptologists call this palette perhaps the oldest Egyptian historical record. The carvings use the conventions of Egyptian art, stiff profile figures, registers of scenes which were already fully formed by Narmer's time. Though its practical purpose was probably ceremonial, it's a makeup mixing palette for pigment. The artwork reads like a press release. Narmer did this. He won that. It's as if Narmer hired an ancient graphic designer. Humorous aside, think of it as history's first political cartoon, all carved in stone instead of being posted on Twitter. The palette shows us that Narmer's unification was a big deal, one worth immortalizing for millennia. It also confirms that the South's king claimed victory over the North, cementing the legend of a single Egyptian state. Myths and mysteries, meanies, crocodiles, and debates. In later Egyptian tradition, the legendary first king of a united Egypt goes by the name Menes. Ancient scribes and later Greek writers like Manetho credited Menes with everything Narmer did, uniting the lands, founding Memphis, even inventing writing, though Narmer's palette is older than most writing. So is Menes another name for Narmer? That's been debated by historians. Many believe Menes was simply the name or title used in those later stories for the very real Narmer. Others suggest Menes might have been Narmer's successor Horaha, or a collective myth based on several early kings. The legends about Menes are wild. One story says Menes was out hunting when his own dogs turned on him. He jumped on a crocodile to escape, which carried him to safety. In gratitude, he later built a temple to Sobek, the crocodile god. Another tale from Manethos says Menes ruled for decades before being killed by a hippopotamus. Clearly these are mythic embellishments. Ancient Egypt loved a good adventure tale, but underneath them lies Narmer's real feat. Today, archaeologists mostly agree that Narmer is the guy behind the Menes legend. The name Menes, he who endures, might have been a later nickname or title meaning the everlasting one, fitting for a founder. But whether you call him Narmer or Menes, one thing's clear: the first unified ruler is part fact, part folklore. Legacy: Narmer's Egypt and beyond. Narmer's unification of Egypt set the stage for thousands of years of civilization along the Nile. With a single king and government, the Egyptians could pool resources to build monuments, develop writing, and worship their gods with one national religion. Soon after Narmer came King Hora, maybe his son, then the long First Dynasty of Egypt. With each generation, Egypt grew more powerful and organized. Pyramids, temples, and scholarship all trace their roots back to this moment of unity. Some historians even say Narmer's reign marks the beginning of recorded history in Egypt. It's funny to think, without Narmer, would we have ever heard of the pyramids at Giza, or Tutankhamun, or Cleopatra? It might have taken longer for a unified kingdom to emerge, if ever. Narmer is a somewhat mysterious figure. No palace or autobiography has survived, but in a very real sense, he's the father of ancient Egypt. Modern archaeologists discovered his story by digging up artifacts like the Narmer Palette and his tomb in Abydos, putting together the puzzle pieces. So the next time you think of the grandeur of ancient Egypt, remember the first domino that fell into place: Narmer. He wasn't a cartoon hero despite the crocodile ride myth, but he did something legendary. In a sense, Narmer was Egypt's original visionary CEO, merging two companies into one empire and setting Nile civilization on an incredible trajectory. From the snowy-headed peaks of time, we now see Narmer in the sunlight of history as the founder of a legacy that endured for millennia.